You know, if they were like the Colorado Lizards or the DIA Lizard people.
I'm gonna rename the Colorado Rockies the Colorado DIA Lizard people.
Mike, Prips, opening day special. Nothing better than Prips on opening day. We're not talking Ohtani, you know what we're talking about. Why should I care about the Colorado Rockies? Was a lifelong Rockies fan. Heck, I was there, watched so many games since that very first season. I was like a 5-year-old kid, I think, Mike, when Coors Field opened when I was 6. It was when they were playing in Mile High Stadium that first year that I started watching the Rockies. Been watching them ever since. My dad and I used to watch, heck, probably 100 games a year, okay? But I'll tell you, the moment that Arenado was literally, the Rockies paid St. Louis to take Arenado off their hands. They traded the best player in franchise history to, not only did they trade the best player, but they paid St. Louis. I don't know how many times I have to say that, okay? Not only that, they took the third deck on the right, in right field, and they turned it into the party zone. That's when you know your franchise doesn't care about winning. They don't care about your viewing experience, how they just want you to go there, and it's more of like Disney World for the MLB. I'm going to give you a few minutes here to change my mind. Why, in honor of opening day, should I actually watch the Colorado Rockies this year and become a fan yet again?
You know, go on opening day and hang out on the party deck, and I drink my Prips so I don't get dehydrated and throw up over the party deck. And yeah, there's a lot of cute girls up there, and you know, just you gotta go mingle around. And there's a baseball game that's kind of happening, and then all of a sudden you're like, whoa, it's the 8th inning, and who are these teams? That's about all I can do to defend the Rockies, Dirk. I don't know. I will say this much: they have a winning record in spring training this year, and that, you know, hey, that's looking pretty good. And Brandon Rogers is a good prospect. Sounds like he's going to take the big leap. They've got like a young center fielder who's pretty good. I think Charlie Blackmon is still on the team.
Charlie Blackmon is still on the team? Okay, here's my thing about being a Rockies fan, though, Mike. Literally, you all right, take Detroit in the NFL. Detroit Lions. They suffered year after year, and now all that suffering, at least there is the appearance in the NFL that your team at some point will turn it around, whether it be by the draft, whether it be by just salary cap. Heck, it looks like there's an even playing field there. There's not even a shroud, not even like the semblance of the league itself, making it look like there's any type of like competition. It is simply just a money game, right? Now, Billy Beane and the A's may have done their special stuff, but there's literally franchises out there that have no interest in the sport itself, and the Rockies are one of them. The owners there just don't really care about whether they're good or not. How many times did I sit through a 4-pitcher rotation? A 4-pitcher rotation, Mike. Or Jamie Moyer at age 54 being the oldest starting pitcher of all time, and that's what they're throwing out there. I mean, you suffer through those years for like the anticipation that I suffered through this so that, you know, in the future I'm going to see some quality product. And it never came. It just never came. And then the worst part about it is, like, when the Rockies have made it to the postseason, how many games are there, Mike, in MLB? It's like over 162 games or something like that, right? And then it all comes down to one single stupid play-in game or a single wild card game that was a single game? What? Like, that's why I don't understand how the Major League is still profitable. It has to be from international markets. It cannot be from the domestic population. I don't believe it, Mike. I don't believe it. Either that or it's the biggest money laundering scheme of all time.
I'll back up. I disagree with your assessment that Arenado is the best player in franchise history. I have him no higher than 3rd, probably 4th. There's no way that Arenado is displacing Helton or Larry Walker. Peak Larry Walker was just preposterous.
I hear what you're saying there, Mike, but at the time that he was traded, he was still very young. He was still accomplishing huge things, right? How many Gold Gloves had he won at that point? I mean, he was hands down the best third baseman in the major leagues. And he had years under his, like, he still had plenty of years. Now, he goes to a team where he's being overshadowed by plenty of other players, right? But he stays with, I truly think if he stays with the Rockies, he does become the best franchise player.
He could have been in the conversation. I think Larry Walker at his peak, he ran into injuries, but Walker was ridiculous. You've also got to think about some of the favorites, the big cat Andres Galarraga, who not only posted a .370 batting average season, but also hit a lot of 40 home run seasons.
Hang on. The big cat's disqualified because he spent most of his career as a non-Rocky. Like, Arenado was up in Casper, man.
But Galarraga was sort of an original Rocky, I believe. He was on the 93 Rockies until like...
Yeah, but he still has history prior to the Rockies. Like, you have your homegrown talent. The best... All right, let's put it this way, Mike. The best homegrown talent the Rockies have ever produced. And they sell them. They pay someone to take them.
On that, if we're going by that metric, Joe Sakic isn't the Colorado Avalanche guy. He's the Quebec Nordiques.
I'm fine with that. I said I had a Nordiques hat for the first, 5 seasons.
This guy. I cannot. I will say this, Dirk. There was a weird era in that early 2000s where the Rockies actually did try to go in financially and become a big competitor, and their huge free agent signings completely backfired. They signed Mike Hampton to, at the time, the biggest contract in baseball history, and he ended up being a dud. They also signed Danny Nagel, and he ended up getting into trouble. And they brought in a couple of other aces as well, and it's just been this bizarre thing where once a guy puts on a Rockies uniform, he cannot pitch. Even Ubaldo Jimenez had a 15-1 start in 2010, 15-1, and then he finished the season with a 1-9 record the rest of the way. And it ended up being an okay season.
I've always thought that the Rockies just need to go and get high heat. Do you know what I'm saying? You don't, the air's too thin for a knuckleball, or the air's too thin for a guy that has a cut fastball, or any of the other garbage that has movement on it. Just give me heat, man. Man, did Randy Johnson. Now, look, Randy Johnson's going to give up some 600-foot home runs. Do you know what I'm saying? Who cares? Give us high heat. If anything, he's going to have a greater, mile per hour, right? Right? And at elevation? Am I right, Mike?
The new campaign for the Rockies is Give Us High Heat 2024.
Yeah. Nothing was worse than the Rocktober era.
October was great, Dirk. You were in Minnesota for it.
It's Rocktober again. And oh wait, we didn't make it to October. When's the last time the Rockies were playing in October?
I think it was 2018. It's been a little while. To answer your question, Dirk, here is one reason why you could maybe justify caring about the Rockies. If you're into betting, I think the Rockies stand a chance of hitting the over on the over-under wins this year. I think they are going to outperform. Now, that is a pretty low bench line. I mean, I can't remember what it is, but I think they are going to exceed their projected wins this year. They're not going to be a playoff team, however.
Dude, Mike, even think about the Houston Astros, how bad they were for how many years. And then think about the Baltimore Orioles, how bad they were for how many years. At least they've had their renaissance. And if anything, the Houston Astros have become a dynasty. When has the Rockies ever had anything like that? Ever!
The Orioles might be the wrong team to cite.
Why do I feel better as a Browns fan than I do as a Rockies fan? That's horrendous. My team got up and left overnight. You know what I'm saying? I feel better being a Browns fan than I do being a Rockies fan.
In fairness, there is this weird outside hope in Cleveland that someday, somehow, it could break right and the Browns could become a thing. The Rockies, it feels so far off. Part of the problem is they play in the same division as the Dodgers, who are just trying to swallow the sun. And, it's just... Now, it is fascinating, though, Dirk, I will say, as if you look at the numbers over recent years, the team with the highest salary in baseball, I think, has only won the World Series 6 times in the last 30 years. So having the biggest payroll has not historically worked out that well in recent years.
Okay, how many teams in the last 40 years with the least amount of payroll have made it to the World Series?
That's the thing. I mean, the discrepancy is still so high. With that said, though, Dirk, the Tampa Bay Devil Rays still constantly rank near the bottom of that. They play in a mall, for God's sake.
It's Dinger, dude. It's the curse of Dinger.
It probably is, yeah. Dinger, we're going to have to go make Dinger extinct and make the DIA horse mascot the new Rockies thing. That'll put some fear into people.
It's terrifying. Yeah. If they were like the Colorado Lizards or the DIA Lizard people.
I'm going to rename the Colorado Rockies the Colorado DIA Lizard people and watch them win 5 World Series in a row. It's going to be great. Randy Johnson will come back as a Lizard Man and pitch a perfect game in the World Series. You heard it here on Buford.